Consciousness. Consciousness and how we see the world adjusts our genetics. And it turns out everyone blames genes for all the problem. Genes are responsible for less than 1% of illness on this planet. I go, 90% of illness is stress. I go, why is that relevant? Because stress chemistry shuts off the growth and maintenance and health of the body as it prepares you to run from a saber-toothed tiger.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, so why is it relevant? Because the control of the genes was up here. And either I can believe I'm in healthy, happy growth land, which then adds growth signals to my body. Being in love has a different chemistry than being in fear.
Bruce Lipton, I love that you're here. I love your book, your work, your whole message. I just vibe with that. Like I am in constructive interference with your message.
So am I, and it's interesting because they say, oh, okay, yeah, you wrote the book on all this stuff, but I didn't write the book until I was a student of this information. And then as a student, I said, well, then who are my teachers? I go, cells, the cells I was growing in a laboratory, observing them, watching them every day, being very intimate with them. They taught me a way of life that when I put it into my own way of living, changed my life from to heaven on earth.
I love that, heaven on earth. So let's start there. Let's start at the beginning, right? So you, I love the fact that you say you're in a band and you guys are traveling around and having a tough go at it, and then you finally find tenure in Wisconsin at a university, right?
Yes,
And then
University of Wisconsin School of Medicine.
what made you leave there?
What made me leave?
Yeah, Wisconsin.
Okay, there was a point where my research challenged what I was teaching. When you teach a course in a medical school, you don't teach what you want, you teach to a curriculum that's accepted. And so I was teaching a curriculum based on genetics. And you go, so I said, what is that? I said, well, let's understand what that means. Our conventional understanding, and almost everybody out here has been programmed with conventional genetics, is this: genes control the character of our lives. And I go, okay. I go, what does that mean? I go, well, first recognize this: as far as we know, we didn't pick the genes we came with. Okay. Number two, if I don't like my traits, I just can't go change my genes. And then number three, and this is the killer, is we are also programmed that genes turn on and off by themselves. I go, so why is that relevant? I said, then all of a sudden, I'm not controlling my genes control my fate, and I'm not controlling my genes. So I'm a victim of my heredity. If there's cancer running in the family, it's like, I should be very careful. I could get a cancer or diabetes or cardiovascular issues. So I say, so what is the consequence of what we've been programmed to believe in? What I was teaching is your fate is pretty much sealed at the moment of conception, when the genes from your mother and your father come together, commingle in what is called the zygote, the developing embryo. And I go, so we perceive as ourselves as powerless in unfolding our lives, that our genes have power over us. And then I go, well, what's the significance? I say, well, victim, number one. But I said, what else is there? And I go, well, if you're a victim and you can't control your life, you look for a rescuer. Who's going to control it for me? And then you give them the power over your life because you acknowledge, listen, I don't know anything about how this works, but the doctor knows how. And therefore, whatever the doctor says, that's my truth. And I go, so why is that relevant? And the hardest thing that people have to really grab onto is this: the function of the mind is to create coherence between your beliefs and your reality. So in other words, if I have a negative belief, the function of my mind is to manifest a negative world to conform to my belief. So then I go, yep, I knew that was going to happen. And I say, oh, okay. So we find coherence between what we think about life and the life we have.
Mm.
And I go, so why is this relevant? I say, well, if you give up the power of the truth over your life to other people, then their opinions program your life. I give up power over, I don't know anything about medicine, so I give it to the doctor. I go, so why is it relevant? Because if the doctor makes a prognosis, what's going to happen, that goes into your consciousness as that's truth. And the function of the mind is to take that truth and manifest it. So I go, I get a diagnosis, terminal cancer, die in 3 months. And in 3 months, pretty much is when I die. And I go, what a coincidence. I go, it's not really a coincidence. It's the fact that that ended up being a program. And here's an interesting fact. If that was a misdiagnosis, and I have been programmed to believe I'm going to die of cancer in 3 months, I'll die in 3 months, whether I have the cancer or not. And that is a consequence of taking a belief and manifesting it as a reality. And that's what the name of the game is. So how's your reality? What are your beliefs? If you're not
Yeah,
finding a great reality, then somewhere along the line, you've got to start looking at what beliefs am I generating to manifest this reality?
sure. Actually, it's crazy because like the year I was born in May 1983, they did a scientific study with cancer patients. They gave them sugar pills, right? And they told them that this is going to be like radiation treatment or something. And they were taking these sugar pills, and like half of them, their hair fell out, right? Like they thought that they were taking this radiation
Yes,
treatment, and their hair
yes,
fell out,
yeah.
which goes back to your work where your beliefs create your environment, right? Or your beliefs influence your body, your wellness. I mean,
Okay, you know what, Trey, let's go back to the first and the most important fact of science, because it's going to come from quantum physics. Most
mhm,
people go, oh, that's that weird science, and they don't really get it very much. But here's the point. There are two physics. The one we grew up with is called Newtonian physics. And I go, what a simple point? The universe consists of two realms, matter, physical things, and invisible energy. And the story of Newtonian physics is energy doesn't really affect matter. I go, so why is it relevant? I said, well, if your body is made out of matter, what do you think the medical community is going to do? Is going to try to adjust your body with more matter. Matter affects matter. Pharmaceutical drugs affect a physical body. That's the story. But energy doesn't. So I say, then what is the medical belief about consciousness and spirituality? And they go, that's nice, but it has no influence on affecting a human body. So we can separate mind, separate spirituality, and look at this as a machine. And if it's not working right, we get new parts. That's the job of the pharmaceutical company, make some parts to put in the machine. And I go, okay, that's a belief system that most people, almost all people have. And I go, unfortunately, there's a new physics which is profoundly larger physics, and actually includes Newtonian physics, but it's a bigger physics called quantum physics. And I go, what's the difference? And I go, Newtonian physics, matter and energy, separate realms. Quantum physics, matter is energy.
mhm.
Everything is energy. There's only one realm. And I go, so what's the difference? Well, in quantum physics, then energy, which is called a field, becomes the primary agency that controls the material experience. And I go, so why is that relevant? I say, well, medicine in Newtonian world threw out spirituality and consciousness as just an energy. Quantum physics says, no, they're not just an energy. Consciousness and spirituality shapes our experiences of life on this planet. It's not an incident that's, outside. No, consciousness is creating our reality. And I go, so why is it relevant? I said, well, look at your reality and tell me if you like it. They go,
Mhm.
no, man, there's all kinds of things, COVID, war, race riots, religious upheaval, blah, blah, blah. And I said, we've created that. I
Mhm.
said, that didn't come from anything but our creation. You go, but I didn't create that. And I go, you're a participant in this creation. You bought a belief and you are participating in manifesting that belief. And I go, you want to change the world? Don't go out and physically change this world out here. You change this world in here, that world automatically changes. Why? Quantum physics. We are creators of our life experience through our consciousness. Biology has taken that torch. This is where I came in 50 years ago to show, oh my God, biology is doing the same thing. In other words, the behavior of our life is not controlled by genes. That's a program, and that's a disempowering program because it says genes control your life and you don't control them. But the new science, which I saw over 50 years ago, is now recognized as called epigenetics versus genetics. I say, what's the difference? Epigenetics, that's the revolution. It's a revolution. It says, it sounds like the same, genetics, epigenetics. I go, no, here's the difference. Genetics, which I was teaching in medical school, conventional curriculum, is that genes turn on and off, and in the process control the character of your life. And I go, so why is it relevant? Well, we didn't pick the genes as far as we know. Can't change them if we don't like the character. And then we're told the genes turn on and off by themselves. And all of a sudden that takes me out of the picture. My genes are controlling my life and I'm not controlling my genes. So therefore I am a victim of my heredity. Then I go, what's the new science? Epigenetics. It sounds the same. I go, that little epi, E-P-I, is a revolution, 180-degree different vision. I go, what is it? Epi means above. I go, yeah. For example, what do they call skin? Epidermis. I go, what does that translate? Just below the surface of the skin here is a layer called the dermis. And I say, so what does epi means? Above. So what is skin? Above the dermis. Oh, epidermis. Okay. I say, well, how does that relate to epigenetics? And I go, because epi means above. The old story, genes control. New story, epigenetics control. I said, what does it mean? Epi above means the control is above the genes. You mean your genes don't control? No. The control is above the genes. I said, what is that? Consciousness. Consciousness and how we see the world adjusts our genetics. And it turns out everyone blames genes for all the problem. Genes are responsible for less than 1% of illness on this planet. I go, 90% of illness is stress. I go, why is that relevant? Because stress chemistry shuts off the growth and maintenance and health of the body as it prepares you to run from a saber-toothed tiger. Mm-hmm. And I go, so why is it relevant? Because the control of the genes was up here. And either I can believe I'm in healthy, happy growth land, which then adds growth signals to my body. Being in love has a different chemistry than being in fear. So for example, how does it work? Okay, let's back up one track. And what did I see to know how it worked? And that was this. 50 some years ago, I was cloning stem cells. Okay, right away, that requires a definition. What the hell is a stem cell? And I go, okay, back up again. Look in the mirror, look at this body, say, yes, there's one single organism, one Bruce Lipton human being. And I go, well, that's an illusion because Bruce Lipton is made out of 50 trillion cells. The cells are the living entity. Bruce or Trey, by definition, is a community of up to 50 trillion cells. The living element is not me as an entity, it's me as a community of cells, okay? So I go, so why is this relevant? Because I say, well, unfortunately, every second we lose about 3 million cells. We just talked for, whatever, a minute or so. How many? 60 times, we lost 180 million cells in a minute. I go, why? Because they die and they age and they get replaced. Oh, they get replaced. I go, yeah, because if they didn't, we'd all die by running out of every day, hundreds of billions of your cells die. I go, well, to stay alive, you must replace hundreds of billions. I go, and that's what the stem cells are in your body. They're the embryonic cells that will replace the dying cells that die every day. So I say, okay, what did I do? I took one stem cell, which is multi-potential. It's embryonic. It could be bone, muscle, nerve, whatever it develops into. It's precursor. I go, so what? I take one stem cell, put it in a dish by itself. It divides every 10 hours. So starts with one cell, 10 hours later, 2 cells, 10 hours later, 4 cells, double, double, double. A week, I got 30,000 cells in a Petri dish. It's going to get to the point. Here it goes. All the cells are genetically identical. They came from one parent. That's cloning. One parent, 30,000 progeny. I go, so why is it relevant? All 30,000 cells are genetically identical cells. So I go, okay. And what do? I take those 30,000 cells, split them into 3 dishes, 10,000 cells in each dish. But all dishes are genetically identical. But when you grow cells, you grow them in an environment. I say, what's the environment? Culture medium. And I go, what is culture medium? This is going to come back and loop in a second. Culture medium is a laboratory version of blood. So if I grow human cells, I have to put them in an environment like what? The equivalent of human blood. So I, in the laboratory, make the equivalent of blood, but we call it culture medium. Okay. But since I'm making it, I can change some of the chemistry a little bit.
Mhm.
So I made 3 different versions of culture medium, 3 different plates of cells, genetically identical in all of them. In environment A, culture medium A, the cells form muscle. In a second dish, genetically identical cells, but environment B, in this environment, the cells form bone. The third petri dish, yes, genetically identical cells in all of the dishes, but in this one, the environment C causes the cells to form fat cells. What controls the fate of the cells? Well, we said the genes do. And I go, nope. Why? They all had the same genes. So what made muscle, bone, fat? And I go, the response of the cell to the environment. When the environment reads this, the cells become that. I go, okay, wow, that's pretty cool. Genes didn't control this. I say, no, environment controlled it. Okay, and this is the new science called epigenetics. What's the environment? Above the genes. The environment is controlling the genes, above the genes. Okay, so now comes a very interesting point. Well, that's really nice. That's a study of cells in a plastic dish. I go, as I said before, we are made out of 50 trillion cells. Truth, we are skin-covered petri dishes. Underneath our skin, 50 trillion cells with the original culture medium, the original blood. I go, so why is it relevant? I said, the experiment reveals that the genetics of the cell are controlled by the environment, which in this case was culture medium. And I say, yeah, but I have a skin-covered petri dish with 50 trillion cells in the original culture medium blood. I go, it doesn't make a difference if the cell's in a plastic dish or the cell's in a skin dish. They still respond to the environment, culture medium or blood. Okay, so it says, wait, I got 50 trillion cells and their genetics, when they started, they all had the same genes. That was the fertilized egg. It's all came from the same. Then I go, so what? I say, the chemistry of the blood, which is the same as the chemistry of the culture medium, determines genetic activity, not the genes. Genes don't control themselves. Genes cannot turn on and off. That's a completely false belief system because that makes you a victim. I say, well, wait, what's the new story? Epigenetics signal above the genes? I say, yep, the environment, in this case, the blood. And I go, so the composition of the blood determines the genetic activity. And I go, okay, now comes the important part. So what chemistry should the blood have? And I go, and this is it. Whatever picture you have in your mind, the brain translates that into complementary chemistry. There's a chemistry of love, which is totally different than the chemistry of fear, which is totally different than the chemistry of anger. I go, so what do you mean? I say the brain takes the picture and reverses, it's like reverse paint by numbers. Instead of taking the paint and filling in the spots and make a picture, you take a picture and break it down into the paints. And those paints are the hormones and emotional chemicals and the growth factors. So whatever picture you hold in your mind, the brain translates that into chemistry that goes into the blood. The chemistry goes into the blood, and what does it do? Programs the cells to match the picture.
Mm.
I go, so why is it relevant? I said,
All of that.
what's your picture? Your picture of love? Oh man, you release great chemistry, endorphins for pleasure, oxytocin for bonding, growth hormone. That's why when people fall in love, they glow, they're healthy. It's not an accident, it's a blood chemistry that gave them that. But fear, none of those love chemicals come out of the brain. Fear has a whole different set of chemicals. And those chemicals actually shut down the growth of the body and shut down the immune system as you get into protection. And I go, oh, so love is open and protection is closed. I go, 2 different genetic expressions. The result is same cells, but the chemistry changes. And therefore, then the conclusion, Trey, after I kept rambling here,
That's all. I love it. I love all of this.
the conclusion is simply this. The character of your life is a complement to the picture in your mind. Are you afraid or are you happy and healthy? It's different chemistry.
Sure.
And the idea is if I can make you afraid, then rather than releasing love chemistry in your body, you will release stress chemistry. And when you release stress chemistry, you're actually compromising your health because you're shutting down the growth and maintenance of the body and your immune system. And this is why the world has such a health crisis. Less than 1% of the health crisis in this world is connected to genes. 90% of health issues, whether it's diabetes, whether it's cardiovascular disease, whether it's Alzheimer's, is actually due to the environment and our perception of the environment, not the genes. I go, so why is it relevant? I go, what if you change your perception? What if you change your environment? All of a sudden, well, then you change your character of your life. So all of a sudden I go, oh, difference. Genetics, victim, genes control the character. Epigenetics, you're a master of your genes because you're the one that controls the environment and the perception. You change your environment, you change your perception, you change your genetics. And all of a sudden we have to go from victim to master. And that's the evolution we're being called upon to do at this very moment on planet Earth.
I love that. I love all of that. So we were talking before how the signal, the environment, the consciousness comes in and kind of, the genes are the blueprint, right? The genes are the blueprint. Where is the signal coming from?
The
From the
signal,
environment.
okay. Okay, a cell lives in the environment, just like, let's say, an amoeba, okay? As it goes through the world, what's around it? Everything. There's food molecules, yeah, there are toxic molecules, there are parasites, predators, and all that. And I say, if the cell can't read that environment, then the cell cannot survive. So I say, well, how does the cell read the environment? I say, the membrane, the skin of the cell has receptors. And I go, well, you know what? That's the same as a human. Why? Where are your receptors? Well, eyes, part of the skin, nose, part of the skin, hearing, part of the skin, tongue, taste, talking, part of the skin. So I go, oh, the skin is reading the environment and then translating that signal so that my cells can adapt to the environment. Very simple point. You walk out the door and it's cold out. What reads cold? The skin has receptors that read temperature. I say, so what? You walk out when it's cold, the receptors read the temperature, say, oh, we got to raise the body temperature. So the metabolism increases. I say, oh, wait, what happens if you walk out in the summertime? Oh, it's hot out. Reduce metabolism and cool it. I say, the genes control this temperature? I say, no, the temperature outside of your body controls the temperature inside your body. And all of a sudden I go, oh, that's environment controlling your behavior. And I go, well, basically all of life comes that way. And the relevance is this: what is life? Responding to the world. If you have receptors and you can see the world, then you can adapt and adjust your biology. And as you go up the evolutionary tree, there's, guess what? More and more receptors, more and more awareness. And with more and more awareness, more functionality, more capability. So an amoeba just deals directly with what's going on in the environment and adapts its genetics to create a behavior to survive. That's the nature of the game, okay? And then I go, well, and humans do the same thing. What we go out into the world and we have to adapt our biology to survive in that world. And I said, well, what reads that? Well, the genes don't read that. It's the nervous system that reads that. And I say, so what's different between the cells in my body and the cells in the out in a pond? An amoeba in a pond is directly connected to the environment, reads the direct environment, and adjusts its biology to live. Now comes an interesting fact. My cells are supposed to do the same thing, and they do. They read the environment and adjust themselves. I said, what environment are they reading? And all of a sudden I go, not the outer environment. The cells are inside. They can't see what the hell is going on, but they need to adapt their biology to what's going on in this outer world. So I said, then how does a cell learn to adapt its biology to a world it can't see? And the answer is the nervous system translates what's going on in the outer world to chemistry in the blood, which informs the cells of what's going on in the outer world. So the chemistry of the blood tells the cells whether, do we need protection? Do we need growth? What should we do? Okay, now how does it do it? Nervous system reads the environment, translates it, and sends signals. And I go, yep, that's great. Problem, you ready? What about a misperception? What about if you look at the environment and you misinterpret what's going on? And I go, then you're going to misadjust your genetics and you're not going to be in harmony with the world anymore. I say, well, what does that mean? I say, your mind is interpreting the world. If you have a mistake in the interpretation, then your chemistry in your body is not in harmony with what's going on out there, and that the internal environment is now disconnected from the world and responding to incorrect information, which then by definition throws you out of health and puts you into disease. And all of a sudden I go, oh my God, then my genetics and my expression are not programmed by the genes. They're programmed by my interpretation of this world and sending the chemistry in to coordinate the cells to live in my interpretation. So I say, what? I got two people standing in the exact same spot and they're seeing the world, the environment. And I go, one of them looks at it and goes, wow, this is beautiful. I love this place. This is really great. And I go, oh, so what's it going to do? Send in chemistry of harmony and love. I love this place. The other one person standing right next to him looks at it and goes, this is a scary place. I'm not sure about this. This is scary. I'm not sure. It's my interpretation. I'm not sure. I go, is that one going to release love chemistry? The one who's unsure is going to put in stress chemistry to say, I got to prepare because I don't know what the hell's going on out here anymore. And I'm going to prepare for fight or flight or whatever. And I go, so what was the point? Two people can read the exact same environment, but their cells don't see the same environment. They only see the interpretation of that environment. One interpreting heaven on earth, the other one looking at the same scene says hell. They have different blood chemistry. And the blood chemistry then selects the genetics and the behavior. If the blood chemistry is in harmony with the world, then you are in a healthy situation. But if your blood chemistry is misreading the environment and adjusting your biology, and your adjustment is now no longer in harmony with the environment because of misperception, well, then you're facing an unhealthy situation. You're facing a stress and a disease. And all of a sudden it's like, disease? I go, less than 1% genes. Disease is how you see the world. And you interpret the world through your belief system. And then here comes the big issue. Well, my personal belief system says, okay, I'm doing okay. And then I go to the doctor. And the doctor looks at me and says, oh, Bruce, you got a problem here with this and this and this. And I go, huh? And then all of a sudden I go, what does it mean? I said, well, my belief system is now what? Buying what the doctor said. And if the doctor said I have cancer, and I believe that, you think I'm going to release love chemistry? I'm going to release chemistry that creates cancer because that's my belief system. My mind is going to take that truth from somebody else, make it my truth. My nervous system will then take that truth and manifest that truth. Now, if it's a prognosis of I'm going to die in 3 months because I have cancer, and I buy that truth, then my mind is going to do what? It's going to set a clock. It's going to count down for 3 months. And then the truth says at the end of 3 months, I'm going to die of cancer, and they'll die. Would they die of cancer? Well, if they were misdiagnosed, no, they'll just die. There won't be any cancer. Why? They bought the truth from somebody else and created a life expression, somebody else's truth. And if that truth is incorrect, then what you're creating is not harmony. You're going to create a disharmony because you're no longer in harmony with the world. You bought a truth that's not true. And as a result, your biology is not in harmony anymore. And all of a sudden, that's why 90% of disease has nothing to do with genetics. It has to do with what do you think is going on? Change what you think is going on. It's the old hippie days. I'm old enough to say hippie days. And the relevance about that was in those days, there was a saying that I think is so important to bring forward today. And that is, before you go out and change the world, take care of your own backyard. Meaning, before I'm going to go out there in a crusade and fix the world, if my harmony is broken because of my programming, I'm not going out to be a useful element. I'm already broken before I went out there. My behavior is not going to support this. So the idea is first you have to heal yourself. Then you could change the world. You do change the world by healing yourself. But if you want to be a crusader, you still have to come from being in harmony with that crusade. I'll tell you a simple truth. When I understood the nature of this epigenetics and the mechanism of how mind controls my genes and all that, I said, oh my God, if you understand this science, you can create the healthiest, happiest, most wonderful life experience. So I got a bunch of people I could get together and I said, I want to tell you about this new science. This is 50 years ago. And it wasn't even a new science at that time because that epigenetics was only officially recognized in 1990. I saw it in 1967. So I was a little ahead. But I go, so why is this all relevant? And the answer is basically, if I'm not in harmony, my life is not in harmony, and I have to change my perceptions. So I get this group of people together, and I'm telling them, I got this new insight. This is how you can create heaven on earth. And they looked at me in that room, and they go, you know, Lipton, for a guy who says you know this stuff, your life doesn't look that good. And all of a sudden, it's like, I didn't say it, but damn, I almost did say, well, do as I say, not as I do. And I go, holy crap, I can't go out and tell people about creating the heaven on earth experience. My life's not there. So I said, no more lecturing. I had to go back and change my programming and my beliefs. And then guess what? I'm living in heaven. Then I go out and tell the people about it. And now they go, yeah, that's exactly right. But I told them the same story when I wasn't doing it. So it's like, if you're not doing it, how can you sell it?
Absolutely. I love that. Take care of your backyard. I love that.
That's important. If you're not happy with your own existence, then don't try to make the earth happy. First, you have to be happy. Then you can take that out into the world. And most people have been programmed to be disempowered. That most of the programs we got are limiting our powers or self-sabotaging behaviors. And I say, wow, we were programmed to be disempowered. I go, what does that mean? It means you're a victim. Why? I have no power. And I go, then what is the consequence? And this is the whole point. What is the consequence of being a victim? And the answer is, I'll pay anybody to help me because I can't do it. So whatever you want to charge me, you charge me. Medicine, church, I don't care where the hell it's coming from. But the point is this, they'll take advantage of that because when you're a victim, you give up power and you give it to somebody else. And the idea is when we start to know how powerful we are as creators, take back our power because our creative ability is better than the one we've been programmed. The world we see is falling apart. And I go, why? Because our programs have been self-destructive. We don't learn to live in harmony with other people. We don't even learn to live in harmony with nature. And as a result, we are destroying the garden which gave rise to us. We're facing an extinction process. Not the first, 6. 5 previous what are called mass extinction events happened on this planet. Life was thriving, something happened, and then up to 90% of life disappeared. The last mass extinction 66 million years ago was when there were dinosaurs here. I go, so what happened to them? A comet hit near the Yucatan Peninsula, a giant comet, not a little comet, giant comet, and it upended the web of life. And in that time, over 75% of life disappeared, including all of the dinosaurs. And then life started all over again. Now, after 6 million years, here we are. And guess what? We rebuilt, the garden rebuilt itself, but now it's facing the 6th mass extinction. And I go, and what is this one? I go, human behavior is destroying the garden from whence we came. And I go, why is it relevant? And the answer is people don't recognize a simple fact. We didn't come here separate from the garden. We came here through the garden. I go, so why is it relevant? Well, if the garden disappears, then we can't be here. Aha! Mass extinction right now, happening right in your neighborhood, everywhere. That's the chaos that says, oh my God, we're killing ourselves. And the point about it is this: how do we stop it? And the answer is we must change the behavior. The behavior we were programmed with has precipitated the crisis that we see on a global level. We're going extinct. Is this 1,000 years from now? No, this extinction is in decades. Within the next couple of decades, industrial civilization that we have been living in, irreversible collapse. And that is from NASA, that this is collapsing right around you right now. Look at the world. See all the chaos? See all the problems? They're not separate entities: race, religion, economy, nature, healthcare. All these crises that we're facing represent one thing: we're going extinct by our own behavior. And therefore, there's only one resolution: understanding behavior and rewriting those programs. And that takes me back to then how many 40 or plus years ago, where I was saying, hey, if you understand this new science, you create the greatest life. And then I say, and once I understood that it wasn't just an idea, but I had to make a behavior out of it. Once I manifest the behavior, then here's a simple truth: I do live in heaven every day. No matter what the crazy world is going on out there, my world is filled with love and peace and harmony. And you could have that too. Anyone can have that. But if you buy into the program, then somebody else's program is going to manifest your life experience. And those are the programs of limitation, of disempowerment, and all that. And I said, that's what we've been programmed with.
Amen to all of that. And I was going to ask you, so you changed your programs, right? Like you talk a lot about Psych K, right? Like going in and through hypnotism and some of their practices. I read a couple of their books and did some research on them. I mean, if you think about it, and you do a lot of explanation type talks about, as we're children, we're going through, different wavelengths, right? Like in our minds, in our brains, through theta, alpha, beta, and
Yeah.
kids
These
are
are
easily
vibrations of
programmed.
the brain. The vibrations of the brain, like EEG wires on your head, that's where it's coming from, reveal that the brain vibrates at different levels of energy, and that at different levels they have different characters. And so, as an adult, we have a whole range of vibration. From the lowest is delta, which is sleep, meaning the brain is just idling like a car in idle, not going anywhere. The next higher vibration is called theta, and that's imagination. Kids, see, while adults have all the ranges, kids build up the vibration one range at a time. We have all ranges. The lowest is delta. The next higher vibration is theta, which is imagination. The next higher vibration is called alpha, which is calm consciousness. And the next higher vibration of the brain is called beta, which is schoolroom focus consciousness. And there's even one higher called gamma, which is called peak performance. And I go, so the level of vibration is a reflection of the character. I go, so why is it relevant? A child doesn't have all levels of vibration when it's born. It spends the first year of its life mainly in delta. I say, well, delta is sleep. I go, yes, a newborn sleeps about half of its life as it's building its body. But between the last trimester of pregnancy and the first 7 years, the brain of a child is at a higher vibration, not delta, sleep, but theta. That's the imagination one. I say expressed as, for example, the children's tea party, where they pour nothing into a cup and then drink the nothing and then exclaim how great that was, the best tea I ever had. That's theta. But now the real inside is theta is hypnosis. Okay. When the child reaches 7, the vibration ramps up. Now they're capable of expressing what is called self-consciousness. They start to realize I'm not just a consciousness. I am a body, physical, in this world. I know self-awareness, okay? And then by 12, it ramps up to a higher vibration, which then takes in the fact that school gets much harder around 12 because your brain is capable of dealing with more, okay? And I go, so what? I said, that theta, which is from the last trimester of pregnancy through age 7, is hypnosis. I go, what for? I go, you have to learn how to be a member of a community and a member of a family. I go, what do you mean? I go, these are behaviors. These are called culture. I go, so what? I say, you can't genetically program culture. So I can give you a body, but you're going to have to learn culture. You're going to have to, because culture changes over time. So I said, well, what does that mean? I say, so the first 7 years of your life, your brain is in hypnosis. Why? Well, if I had to give you a book, here are the rules to be a member of a family. Here are the rules to be a functional member of the community. That can be a book about this thick. Just to give you an example, how a father talks to his own child is not the same way the father talks to the neighbor's child, nor is it the same way the father talks to the mother, which is different than the way the father talks to the neighbor, which is different than the way the father talks to the policeman. And all of a sudden you say, oh my God, how many different things I got to learn here? I go, book this big. Point. The kid's an infant, can't read, can't put that much information. I go, how the hell is the kid going to learn this complex level of rules? And the answer is nature says, fine, hypnosis. When the kid's born, watch the father, watch the mother, watch the siblings, watch the community. I go, why? Because it's like a video recorder. The child in theta is watching and downloading. I watch my father's behavior. That's how boys, men, male in those days was supposed to operate. So there's a pattern. I watch my mother's behavior. Then I know, oh, this is how women work and this is how mothers work and all that. I download that. I watch my siblings, how they interact with each other. So I learn how, kids interact and all that. I watch my community and find, oh, these are the rules. What am I doing? Just downloading. So here's the point. The programs that, okay, let me step back one step, just trade this. Okay, go say it this way. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
The brain is a computer. Exactly. A better computer than anyone humans have made, but it has the same functions. I go, so what? So let's talk about a silicon-based computer, Apple. I go buy a laptop right now. Go to the store, buy a laptop. Come right here, open it up in front of you, and I push start, and it boots up. Screen lights up. Then I say, Trey, let's do a drawing. Let's make a spreadsheet. I got an idea. Let's write an article. Can you do it? You got a brand new computer. I go, no. That's what we mean. It just booted up. Not until you put a program in the computer can you use the computer. So the computer goes into the hard drive program. That's where the program is. And once the programs are in, guess what? Now you can type information into the computer. If there's no program, you can't engage the computer, okay? And I go, so then what? I say, well, then the programs you download give you the qualities and characters of what your brain computer can do. So when a child is in the last trimester of pregnancy, the nervous system boots up. I'm ready. My computer's ready. I go, no programs. I say, well, how do you get a program? I say, from the last trimester of pregnancy through the first 7 years, the fetus and then the infant reads the environment and downloads what it sees. And then that becomes a program. So where did you get your programs from? Not inherently. You got them by observing other people. And then I say, once those programs are in, then your conscious mind, when it starts to kick in, can now type and use that computer. Okay, so that's clear at this point. So I go, okay, where did you get your programs from? Not from you, from mother, father, siblings, and community. And I go, so how'd you get them? Video recorder. I watched them, downloaded. Where are these programs? Subconscious. Subconscious is the hard drive of our nervous computer. I go, so what? I say, once they're in the hard drive, then I could touch the keyboard with consciousness and change the programs and do things. I go, that's great. When does consciousness kick in? About age 7. First 7 years is program. And I go, so what's the relevance? My programs of how to deal with life came from other people. I go, so what? Well, if they understood life and they were really cool and they had all the intelligence and everything necessary to have the most beautiful life, then so do I. But that's not true, because most people's lives are distorted by the programs, and that most of these programs, majority, are not supporting you. They're limiting, They're self-sabotaging, disempowering programs. I go, so what does that mean? I say, you can only manifest from your computer what the program is going to offer you an opportunity to do. And if we got bad programming as a kid, then our brain has programs that do not support us. And our mind's job is to do what? Take the program and manifest them into reality. What if I got a program like some parents, when they get upset with a kid, you don't deserve that. You don't deserve that. And the kid is under 7, hypnosis. What did the kid download? I do not deserve. I go, what's relevant about that? The kid can't distinguish that the parent was just angry at that moment. This is a blanket statement. I do not deserve. Program, I do not deserve. I'm 50 years old. Then what? My program says I do not deserve. What's function of mine? Create coherence between my program and my reality. If my program is I do not deserve, then my reality will manifest an experience that reveals I do not deserve. I didn't get what I wanted. I didn't get the job. I didn't get the raise. I didn't get that. It's like, what? Program I did not deserve. Mine. Make the program real. Create behavior from that program that will prove to everyone else you do not deserve. And then guess what? Then you don't deserve anything. And then you look around and go, I'm not getting anything. I say, you got a program from the beginning that says you don't deserve. How are you going to get how are you going to get something? And so the issue is this. Our lives are creative, but they're based on the program. And you go, yeah, but the conscious mind can override the program. Yes, it can. And I go, then why do I have a problem? In other words, the life you are experiencing right now is not thrust upon you. It's you creating it. You are the creator of this life. If you look at your life and go, Jesus, this isn't great. I hate this. This is really crappy. We have a tendency to blame the environment for, oh man, the environment has limited me from getting my success. I go, no, your own subconscious program prevented you from getting success. If that program didn't say you were worthy, valuable, lovable, if you didn't get good programs like that, then your life is a struggle for the rest of your life because the conscious mind is looking for that. And the subconscious programs are controlling you in a whole different way. And so conclusion is very simple. The movie The Matrix, not science fiction. The movie The Matrix is a documentary. Everyone got programmed. That's a fact. If you're a human being, the only way you could get on your feet and get out in the world is first you got programmed. If you have no program, you can't do squat. So A, yep, the Matrix is right. We're all programmed. B, the Matrix said, if you take a blue pill, you take that and you wake up, everything's the same as it's always been. You're back in the program. But if you take the red pill, yes, you get out of the program. What happens if I get out of the program? I say, almost everybody out there has already done this with the most amazing results. I go, when did I take the red pill? If you ever fell in love, you took the red pill. I go, what do you mean? I said, your life was blah, 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 blah. You meet this person on this day, you fall in love, 24 hours later, you have a different life. 24 hours later, you are celebrating the honeymoon, the love, the joy, oh man, the whole bag of everything. Oh my God, I'm so in love, everything, blah, 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 blah. I go, wait. What happened to allow you to do this? I say, you fell in love. I say, yeah, so what? When you're in love, it's the same as the red pill. You stop playing the programs and you start live creating with your conscious mind's wishes and desires. And all of a sudden I said, that whole blah, 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 blah program life, take the red pill. You just fell in love. Tomorrow's honeymoon. And I go, wow, heaven on earth. I just went through 30 years of crap and now I got heaven on earth in 24 hours. This is the greatest thing in the world. And I go, cool. Why did you end up with that? Because for the first time in your life, you stopped playing the program and you started directing your life with your wishes and desires. And what do you think? If you and a partner are both doing that at the same time, then collectively, the both of you have created the honeymoon, which is heaven on earth. And I go, wow, that's the most beautiful part of your life, but then it seems to disappear. And then the honeymoon was cool, but then it just faded away. What the hell happened? Okay, the clue with the big capitals is this. Why do I play programs when my conscious mind is creative? I go, and here's the problem, because the conscious mind can do two things. It could look out at the world through your eyes and deal with the world. The conscious mind can deal with the world. But the conscious mind can also think. I go, so thinking is not outside, thinking is inside. So I asked Trey, I say, hey, Trey, tell me what you're doing on Friday for lunch. It's not written in front of you anywhere. Ah, but you can go into your mind and think about it. Oh, what am I doing on Friday? Oh, I'm doing this and this, and then you can tell me the answer. I said, where the hell did you get the answer? Not out here, because thinking was in here. I go, so what's the relevance? If you're not thinking, then your conscious mind with wishes and desires is driving your vehicle. But if you start thinking, conscious mind's no longer looking out the window. Conscious mind just went inside. Well, then who the hell is driving the vehicle? I go, subconscious mind is autopilot. So the moment you start thinking, you're not creating your life from conscious wishes and desires. The moment you are thinking, you are creating your life from the programs that you got from other people, automatic programs, just playing itself. And I go, up to 70% of those programs are disempowering, self-sabotaging. I say, so what's the point? We think 95% of the day. I go, so why is it relevant? Well, how much of the day am I using my conscious creative mind to manifest wishes and desires? 5%. I go, why is that relevant? Because 95% the conscious mind lets go of the control, goes inside, is thinking. Now control is automatically coming from the programs in the subconscious, and you do not see your own behavior. I go, why not? Because your conscious mind's not looking out, it's looking in as the behavior is playing. So the story I've used for 30 years, only because I still haven't found a better one. Same story as you have a friend, you know your friend's behavior very well, and you know your friend's parent. And one day you see your friend has the same behavior as the parent. Then, of course, you know you just got to do it. You just got to go up and go, hey, Bill, you're just like your dad. And I say, back away from Bill, man. Because as soon as you say that, Bill's going to go, how the hell you compare me to my dad? I'm nothing like my dad. And everyone starts laughing because they have a personal experience. I go, Trey, most profound story in the world. The Bill story. I go, what does it mean? I said, everyone else can see that Bill behaves like his dad. Who's the one that doesn't see it? Bill. Explain. Simple. He got the program from his dad in his development. And I go, well, then how come he doesn't see it? And I say, why is he playing the program? Because he's thinking. And the program is auto subpilot. Subpilot, it's autopilot, gets in there and takes the wheel when your consciousness lets go. I go, so why is it relevant? Well, when the program is playing, why is it playing? Because the consciousness is not paying attention. And so we default to the program. Yeah, but the program didn't come from you, it came from other people. Does it answer what you want? Nah. So I say, why is it relevant? Because all day long, 95% of the day, you are not going toward your wishes and desires, creative conscious. You're going to wherever the hell the program told you were going, because you're now the program. You are not the creator. So when we're thinking, we don't control it. We don't even see it. Why? We're not even looking at our behavior. It's coming out automatically. Everyone else sees it. Everyone can see Bill behaves like his dad. Bill can't see it because to play that program, he's not paying attention. And so as the program is unfolding, the only one who doesn't see it is Bill. I go, so why is it relevant? Bill starts off in the morning. Today's the day, success. I'm going to get the best job. I'm finding a relationship. I'm going to get healthy. Great start. At the end of the day, Bill comes on and goes, no, it didn't happen today. Didn't happen. I go, why not? I asked Bill, why didn't you get what you were wanting today? Well, those people got in the way, and these people, I'm a victim of that. And these people interfered and I can't get it. And therefore I'm a victim. I go, ah, false. All day long, you've been shooting yourself in your foot with bad programs. And you come home at night saying, I didn't manifest the wishes and desires, but I sure as hell have a bloody foot. Somebody's shooting me in the foot. And then you're standing there with a gun in your own hand. Who shot me? Uh-oh. I shot myself in the foot all day. Why? Because I played programs that disempowered me without my seeing it. And everyone else saw it and engaged in it. And if it was a not deserving program, then I created behavior that really reveals I don't not deserve. And you didn't see you were participating. Why? Because you were thinking and the program was playing automatically. Bill's story. And I go, we're all Bill. Every one of us, every day, we start with great wishes and desires, conscious mind, creative. But by the time we go out, 95% of our life is not coming from this wishes and desires. It's coming from that program. And if those have limitations and self-sabotage in them, then all day long, without you even knowing it, you're shooting yourself in the foot with behaviors that do not support you. Everyone else can see the behaviors, respond to those behaviors. You're the only one that is only seeing the response without understanding of where the hell did that response come from. Oh, I did that. No, most people don't know that. They just look at, I'm a victim. And I go, so you program the world to be victims. And everybody goes, okay, victim, I give up my power to the one that has power, be it the medical doctor or the politician. I will give up. Why? Well, obviously, I have no power, and therefore they do. And therefore, I need to, work with them. They're going to create me instead of me creating me. You give up your power and then you buy into the programs. I say, well, how are these programs? I go, well, they're precipitating the sixth mass extinction of life. They're destroying the world and they're destroying civilization. How do you think those programs are going? I go, Jesus. And what's the point? If you don't change the program, then you are a victim the rest of your life. If you change the program, you have an opportunity to write wishes and desires as programs. And I go, so what's the significance? And here it is. It's the most beautiful part because I am doing it as a student. What did I do? I started to recognize the programs that were sabotaging me and then rewrote those programs to match my personal wishes and desires. I go, so why is it relevant? I go, well, in 95% of the day, I'm not even paying attention, but guess what? My subconscious programs are seeking what? My wishes and my desires. I don't even have to think about it. It's automatic. I live in heaven without even making an effort to do it. Why? My programs are doing it. And all of a sudden it says, yeah, if you don't change the program, you are exactly what that program is. You are the readout of that program. And when did you get the program? Before you were even conscious. Conscious began at 7. You go, so what? That's the problem. You know why? Did you filter the programs you got in your life? Did you say that was a sucky program? I don't want that one. And this one's okay. And that one's bad. No, consciousness wasn't there. You downloaded all the programs, the good ones and the bad ones. Why? There was no filter. And I say, so then your subconscious is filled with a lot of programs that don't support you. I go, yeah, that's the problem. And 95% of your life is coming from that. Okay, now here comes an issue. What are the programs? I go, what do you mean, what are the programs? I say, when did they start getting downloaded? Before you were born, last trimester of pregnancy. You downloaded a whole year of programs from 0 to 1. You know what those programs are? No, you weren't there. Consciousness wasn't even working. You were just downloading. Oh, wait, you programmed for a whole year from 1 to 2. You remember those programs? No, consciousness wasn't there. I have no idea what the hell those programs are. And I start to go through this and you start to say, well, maybe around 3, you start to remember some of the events. And then you say, oh yeah, I remember this and I remember that. But I go from last trimester of pregnancy, 0 to 1, 1 to 2, and 2 to 3. You really don't have a consciousness of what the programs are. Now I got a serious issue. Why? Oh, the programs are controlling my life and I don't know what the programs are. And now I'm going to give the resolution for Trey's audience. Trey knows it, but I'll give the resolution for Trey's audience. And it's simply this: 95% of your life is coming from the program. Your life is a printout of your programs. What does that mean? I say, look at your life right now. And here's the point. The things that you like and love that come into your life, they came in because you have a program to acknowledge that. But the things you want, wish for, desire, struggle to get, work hard, putting a lot of effort to make this happen. I'm going to make this happen. Why are you working so hard? Answer? The programs that you got do not support that outcome. And you're trying to override the program by working harder and working more effort. And I go, that doesn't make the program, because 95% of the day, you're still going to be playing the negative program. And so the point about it is simply this. What are my programs? Which are the things you want that you can't get? That's a program. Not the universe won't give it to you. Your own program doesn't allow you access to it. So now the easy part is, hey, what do I got to change? I haven't been able to make a relationship that lasts more than a couple of weeks my whole life. Oh, you want to change a relationship program? Yeah, that's what you need to change. Oh, I've been sick this whole time and I keep trying to get better and I'm not getting better. I keep working on it. It's not working. I go, oh, health program. You're going to change that. Okay. And I say, most of these programs are sabotaging us. And I'll give you an example because I work in occasionally with belief change programs. And one of the things that we start with in asking a person about their belief, and you do muscle testing, that's another story. But you ask this question of a person and they can muscle test for true or false. And the question is, well, it's not a question, the statement, I love myself. 80 to 90% of all people will not test positive for I love myself. I go, what does that mean? Well, if you don't love yourself, then you won't take care of yourself. And guess what? You won't find anybody that will have love with you. Why? Because if you don't love yourself and somebody says they love you, you look at them and go, well, obviously you have no quality control. I personally know I'm not lovable. And if you say you love me, there's something wrong with you. And essentially then you chase that person away, nobody's around, and then you go, see, I'm not lovable. There's nobody here. What? It was the invisible behavior coherent with the program, I'm not lovable, that pushed somebody away so that you can end up saying, yep, I'm not lovable. Oh my God, the program led to exactly what it was supposed to do. I am alone. And this is the biggest problem on the planet because most of the programs we got were self-critical from our parents. And then I say, yeah, but if those are programs, and I go, like what? Well, how many parents have said to their children because they were frustrated, you don't deserve that. Who do you think you are? You're not that smart. You know, you're not that good. I go, why did the parents say that? Well, they wanted to make the child perform better. So it's like a coach on a sports team. Player isn't doing well. You think the coach goes up and goes, oh, please do better. We would like it if you would do better. No, the coach comes up and says, not good enough, not deserving to be on this team unless you perform better. And a child on that team is over 7, so they're conscious. They understand what the coach is saying. I'm not doing that well. If I want to stay in this team, I'm going to have to perform better. So the coach's criticism affects the player. But if the parent says that to a kid under 7, they're not conscious. They're in record. Remember? Video recorder. What did I record from my parents saying, I do not deserve? I recorded that. I do not deserve. Did I understand that the parent was just angry because they wanted to get out of the store and go home and I'm holding them back crying about the toy I want? No, I didn't understand that picture at all. I wrote down, I do not deserve, because that's what my father said. And if he repeats that, then guess what? That's how you put a program in. And if you grow up with a program that you got from your parent, I do not deserve, then recognize this. Whatever your behavior is going to produce, it's not going to produce what you want, because whatever you want, oh, no, you do not deserve. And therefore you can't get it. And so it's time for us to wake up. And Trey, I appreciate this opportunity that you've given me to talk to this audience of yours. These are the creative people that are looking for answers, and the answers are not in the box, because the answers in the box are causing the 6 mass extinction. We step outside, we step in Trey's house, and we get a chance to talk a little differently than in the box. And when we do, we say, what was the problem? The answer is this: you are a creator. And matter of fact, quantum physics, the most valid science on the planet, that's principle number one. Consciousness is creating. Well, if we're the creator and I don't like the creation, then where do I go? And I go back in here because that was the source. So I don't change the world. That's it. I don't go out and change the world. I come back in here, take care of this backyard. Because what if I put in there, instead of I do not deserve, what if I put a program in there, I deserve? And what's the function of the mind? Take the program and manifest it. So if I come in with a program I deserve, then guess what? I will get things because I deserve. But if I come in, I do not deserve, I'll always be reaching, but never getting, because the mind will say, no, your program is you do not deserve. If I give you this, that would be a violation of the program. So you can't have this. And I want this. I go, you don't deserve it. And then you won't get it. Change the program. Put in there, I deserve. And then things will come into your life and you will be the happiest person in the world.
I love it. I love it.
Program.
Bruce, this has been amazing. Like I need you to have you come back on again.
I enjoyed the opportunity. I'm so sorry that the time went so fast because we were just getting into the basics of this.
I know. Well, we got to make, to be continued. I mean, you got an open invitation to come back whenever you want. I mean, this is, use my platform, please. I'm a student.
I